Hey all you tricksters, welcome back to the channel and an early happy Halloween to you. Now you may not know this about me, but I can handle just about any kind of horror movie. It could be the bloodiest, most vicious, horrible, awful thing, and I'm fine with it. But as soon as you give me the slightest scary video game, I am out of there. Like for instance, you know that piano in Super Mario 64? Yeah, like that's my threshold. I can barely handle that. So given that thought, I was going to try to offer you 10 Nintendo Switch games that I think are really great for the Halloween season, that kind of set the vibe and the mood, but aren't too scary. So let's jump right into these 10 picks. All right, first of all, I'm going to choose a couple of options that I think are really obvious, but we got to get them out of the way and they have to go on the list. First of all, we have Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, you probably know what Luigi's Mansion 3 is by now. Of course, you're playing as Luigi, Mario's brother. You're making your way through a haunted mansion trying to seek out Peach and Mario. It's got all kinds of real simple but super fun ghost sucking action. You've got this ghost hunting pack on your back. You're sucking in ghosts, and along with sucking them, you can bash them against walls. There's all kinds of chaos with things in the background falling apart, and again, sucking all that up with your ghost cleaner vacuum. This game is absolutely dripping with style. It really does look almost like a Pixar movie come to life. You feel like you could reach right into the screen, pick up Luigi and grab him. And it is absolutely perfect for the Halloween season. Despite definitely still having a bit of a creepy vibe, there's really no big scares, and this game honestly is made for children in mind also, so it's not going to be intense. And I gotta say, on a personal note, I feel like some of Nintendo's first-party games in the last few years have felt kind of like a little bit of a cheap cash grab, but not so with Luigi's Mansion 3. This is Nintendo as a first-party, running on all cylinders, doing what they do best. It is oozing with charm, and it's amazing. Moving on to what I think is the other obvious choice, we have Ghostbusters, the video game. Now, a quick warning about this one. I think this game probably does, if I recall right, have some jump scares, and it's probably going to be a little bit too intense for someone who's hoping to have a total relaxing Halloween-style game experience. But don't forget, Ghostbusters is all about mixing comedy with horror, so it definitely still has a really nice, lighthearted feel throughout the whole experience, and it really makes you feel like a Ghostbuster. You're going to be using that proton pack, you're going to be setting traps, catching ghosts, and it's absolutely amazing. Ghostbusters, the movie, is my favorite movie of all time, and I'm telling you, when I first played Ghostbusters, the video game, I was almost having tears welling up in my eyes. For a Ghostbusters fan, this game is an absolute dream come true and perfect for the Halloween season. All right, next up we have a game called Savage Halloween. I actually just looked at this recently on the channel, so I'll make sure there's a link if you want to check out a deeper dive of this game. But this is basically sort of like a Metal Slug Mega Man clone NES style game, but mixed with a Halloween motif. The basic idea is all the denizens of Halloween are making their way out to the world, but when it's time to go home when Halloween is done, they just refuse. So you and a couple of Halloween-themed characters, again, are going level by level with a sort of Contra Metal Slug style gameplay. Really underrated, really quick, fun, easy game to get into. And absolutely zero scares, it's just Halloween-themed. Next, we have Lost in Random. I just talked about this in my most recent deal video, so if you're catching this quickly, you can probably get it on sale for its lowest price ever. But this is an awesome adventure game. You play as one of two siblings whose sibling has been captured and taken to the land of sixes. Now, in the world of Lost in Random, everything is coordinated to the side of a dice. In fact, your friend that will come along with you on this trip, he himself is just a walking little eyeball dice. And you'll be using him in combat. So the way combat works in this game is you'll throw dicey and one of his sides will come up, and then you have a deck of cards. So depending on which side of the dice came up, that will show you which options from your deck you can choose from for your attacks or defensive capabilities or whatnot. This is not really a scary game, but it definitely has a really nice creepy vibe. I don't have to tell you this, but it is absolutely dripping with a sort of Tim Burton claymation-esque look. So if you're a big fan of either The Corpse Bride or something like The Nightmare Before Christmas, you're gonna really enjoy Lost in Random. Ravenous Devils is a game that I've wanted to talk to you guys about for a long time. This is a very unassuming game in a genre that I don't normally get into. This is a restaurant management clicker game. But rather than normal food on the menu, it's people that's on the menu. So you play as a couple in a sort of 18th century England setting, and you are for lack of a better term, capturing citizens from the town, and you are repurposing them for the meat for your restaurant, and your husband is repurposing their clothes and redoing them for his tailor shop. So yeah, it's got that typical sort of restaurant clicker. You're going to be choosing from different recipes, and you have different upgrades in your kitchen you can make. Eventually you can hire help. Again, with the tailor, there's all kinds of upgrades, and you are selling clothes to the citizens of the city. Now, this game's theme is obviously not for everyone, but it has an absolutely wicked sense of humor. One example. So at some point, a kid comes into the restaurant and he says to you, "Hey, I can't find my mom. She's been missing for days. I don't know where to look." Obviously, your mom has been by your duo in question. But rather than leave the kid empty-handed, they say, "Hey, well, we don't know where your mom is, but here's some leftovers from the restaurant. Please enjoy yourself." So yeah, if you're into the level of dark humor where a kid is basically eating his mom unknowingly, then you're gonna really enjoy Ravenous Devils. And this is a budget game. It's only $5. It's really kind of shocking how good of a deal it is. I would have thought after playing it that it was more of like a $10 or $15 game, but nope, really well budget priced. Next, we have Pumpkin Jack. Pumpkin Jack is another game that I took a look at a long time ago on this channel. I'll leave a link if you want to check that out, despite the cringeness of seeing an early video of mine. But this game definitely oozes Halloween. You play as Pumpkin Jack. It's a jack-o'-lantern on legs. But you yourself have actually been brought back to life from the devil himself, and the devil wants you to go after this wizard who is keeping the land safe from his anger. But the story doesn't matter. What really matters is that it's a great sort of late 90s, early 2000s throwback platformer. So if you're a big fan of games like Medieval, you're really gonna quickly jump into this and have a great time. So there's lots of great hack and slash action, lots of great platforming. Again, really comfortable for fans of platforming to get into. And again, like I said, it's Halloween themed, but there's basically zero scares. You're gonna have a great time. Maneater is my next pick. Now, if you're not familiar with Maneater, it's basically kind of like the old Jaws video game. You get to play as a shark, so you're in the reverse role of being the shark and chomping up people who are hunting you and other aquatic sea creatures. Now, I wouldn't say this game is zero tension or zero scares. You are going to have to take on some bigger aquatic creatures that definitely outsize you at the beginning. But as the game progresses, your shark is going to further and further evolve, and you can just get absolutely ludicrous upgrades, things that are totally unnatural, and ways that you can upgrade your shark into a pure killing machine. And I gotta say, there's something about games that do sort of a reverse role with the horror theme that somehow that neutralizes what's scary about it, for me at least, and it just turns it into a silly, goofy, fun time. So if you're okay with chopping down a bunch of fish and hunting down a bunch of people, you're gonna have a great time with Maneater. And on a side note, it's a really solid Switch port. Yes, it's gonna be a bit prettier on the other systems. You can play it in 4K, I think, on the newer stuff. But again, it did get ported really well to the Switch. Next, we have what is probably a big favorite for a lot of people in 2022. It's Cult of the Lamb. If you're not familiar, Cult of the Lamb is an action roguelike hack and slash game. But the big appeal to this game is that you're also building up a sort of Animal Crossing style town. But it's all centered around a cult, and including doing really nefarious things like having to even sacrifice members of your cult to boost up your power level. And all of this is in service to this sort of demonic overlord that you are serving and who brought you back to life. Now, the theming might not be comfortable for everyone, but I can tell you it's done in a really goofy, cartoony way, not overly serious. And despite the theme, it's kind of oddly cozy feeling. Again, there's something about building up your town, building up places for your denizens to live, having a little bit of farmland. It's kind of strangely relaxing, honestly. But the combat is there, and it is nice and crunchy, and definitely will keep you engaged for a long time. So if you're one of the few that has not yet checked out Cult of the Lamb, it's a great game to pick up for this season. My next pick is Strange Brigade. If you are a fan of horde-style arcade shooters, you're gonna love Strange Brigade. This game is all set in sort of an Egyptian Universal movie mummy-esque kind of environment. So you're going to be taking on ghouls and mummies and minotaurs and all other kinds of, again, very Egyptian movie monster themed creatures. And the whole thing has a very strong kind of Indiana Jones feel on top of it all too. But like I said, this is a co-op game, so you and up to 3 other people online, if you have some friends who pick it up, can all join in the action together. And despite the creatures you're taking on, it really just isn't a scary game at all. It has a very light-hearted feel, definitely not serious. There's a really humorous narrator who narrates over the whole game. He's got all kinds of goofy, funny things to say about what you're doing. But all the characters are really varied. There's all kinds of abilities that are unique for each character, great weapons that you unlock, and upgrades for the weapons themselves too. This game has a lot of content. This is a big, full-price game. So definitely not a budget game, but again, if you're into that sort of old school Universal mummy monster, this could be a really great game to pick up this season. My final suggestion to you now then is a game that is very near and dear to my heart. It's Streets of Red Devil's Dare Deluxe. This is a game that years ago I fell absolutely in love with, super underrated. I don't think anyone ever talks about this game. The basic premise is that it's a beat 'em up, and you are going to be taking on all kinds of, we'll say, copyright safe horror characters. Now, in the beginning, it's you and your comrades are actually going to a video game convention, and you're all cosplaying as different famous video game characters. So you could choose everything from a character who plays like a Ninja Turtle. There's another character who plays like Link from The Legend of Zelda. Lots of great variety in the beat 'em up gameplay. And you're going to be taking on characters that look like Jason or the Xenomorph from Aliens. I believe there's a Demogorgon from Stranger Things. Again, I'm calling them by their name, but in the game, obviously they make them more copyright safe, like I said. But this is a super underrated beat 'em up simply for the amount of variety in the gameplay. In addition to the 4 main characters, there are actually 2 unlockable ones. And even these characters radically play different than the main 2 characters. In fact, the 2 unlockable characters both play with a gun instead. So it almost gives you another way to play the game as sort of a run and gun shooter. I could go on and on about this game, but I kind of want to save all my full thoughts for a potential top 10 underrated beat 'em ups video. But again, like many of these other games, there's really nothing scary going on. It's just all horror themed. The basic beat 'em up action though is not going to stress you out. It's really easy and fun to get into. All right, all you tricksters, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, smash that like button, leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of these options. And until next time, I hope you have a great Halloween and great gaming. Bye-bye.